the blackbird came down to see me. Good afternoon on the 29th day of May. A superb day it is as well. I'm out in the Laggan Road. A place I've got very fond memories of. Long before the housing was put in back in the 80s. You can hear the low vibrational music. I mean, everybody to their own, but I prefer to listen to Lunchtime Concert on Radio 3. Mind you, it depends who's performing, that is. It's a very beautiful landscape, I'm sure you must agree. There is a purpose for me walking along here today. And as I say, very fond memories of this whole area before the private houses were put in all round. It was an exceptional place to be. I'm better dressed. I've got my light grey, joggers on, but they're very, what do you call them? They're not low vibrational joggers, they're not from JGB Sports or anything like that. They're proper high quality cotton. Sorry to sound aloof. But so we're walking along here. This is Angelica, all this beautiful plant, often mixed up with the Sweet Cicely, but this is Angelica. Of course, the beach edges. I'm just turning my camera away because there's a couple walking along, enjoying the sunshine. Hello. And I'm looking over towards well, that's the lower approaches to the Laggan. The Laggan stretches all the way up there. And this is the old farmhouse. I remember, well, I'm not going to go into details, but I had a liaison with with a couple of girls here when I was a young teenager, long before the garden was landscaped. I had a cyclist that didn't want to acknowledge my greeting. There's always a sour face in the countryside. You always meet them, at least I do. And here's some garlic mustard here. Beautiful plant. Beautiful. There's the remnants of a lily. I bet that's a very scented lily. Hello there, lily. Pictures of Lily. Who was that again? I can't remember who sang that. Pictures of Lily. Was it The Who? I think it was The Who. I suppose it was pretty bad back in the late 60s or 70s. When, you know, the 70s. I'm off to the concert, Mum. Who are you going to see? The Who. And she goes, The Who? Fabulous old, absolutely fabulous horse chestnut there. I try and retain from chatting too much here because there's a reason for my purpose along here. But I do remember my very fond memories of a teacher called Mrs. Pattison. I was in primary 3, about 7 years of age, and she was absolutely wonderful about teaching me all things about nature. We used to go on nature trails, the whole class. We trundled down here, all the way from the Commissioner Street where the schooling was, and we'd walk out here. And I was really attentive. She realised that I was a very keen interest in everything that I was seeing. So she used to sort of wander with me. Well, this is what we call this, Andrew. And I said, all right, very good. And I was never the teacher's pet. I never sat at the front of the class with an apple for the teacher or anything like that, but my report cards, which I found recently in our clear outs. Here's more pink pulsane. I was talking about it yesterday. This is pink pulsane. But yes, most of my report cards, Andrew would be would do much better if he stopped looking out the window. He's always in a dreamland. I remember actually being asked, what is it you're seeing out there, Andrew, that's such of interest, more interesting than what I've got to tell you and the rest of the class? But of course I think I was maybe chatting to fairies or something. Okay, we'll switch camera off just now to get round over here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this bridge here, just a few hundred, well, 100 metres down the pathway, this bridge was put in maybe 20, 30 years ago, but the old bridge, I remember, were very creaky and quite exciting to cross, but it stretches over the old Crieff to Comrie railway line here. The railway line went all the way to Laggan Road and onwards up to, Crieff, Open, Fort William, Malig, that type of thing. But I remember coming down here and as a young boy, and if you met other boys from primary school, and they would give you chase if they didn't like you. I won't mention any names, but several times I've had to scamper through the woods away from these people because they saw me. Get him, he should be down here, he's not this territory, he should be up the knock. And they'd scamper after you. Okay, the reason I'm bringing you down here, let's find a position. This is a place called the New Forest. Not Robin Hood's New Forest. But there's the arches of the bridge, the old railway bridge, Victorian. What we're doing, we're going to go over to that grassy mound. There's a purpose for this. I hope I've got enough power on my camera. I was a bit concerned. I forgot to put the electric switch on when I was charging it up. So I'll cut this just now until I have a chat. So the River Ern's just over by, about 100 metres or less. I'm making my way through the thick vegetation. I don't think we need to go very further, Andrew. This is much of the area that we can recall as a new forest. There's some forget-me-nots down here. A lot of people forget me not. But, okay, so let's chat about this. Back in 1984, somebody had contacted me recently about an upload regarding my James Square episode about fishing in the square, and suggested, well, making a little witty comment that the bin we used for that down the sands, well, the sands is a beach area type thing, sandy. Nobody knows how the sand got there, but it's just down at the north side of the River Ern. But this is quite overgrown. There's lots of raspberries and certainly a lot of young oaks around here, which is very good to see. And plenty of broom. So what I'm going to tell you is back around the 1980s, 84, as I remember. Well, what we did was, I was working at Averill School at that time. I was still involved in athletics, but I'd been injured, as I told, well, I've still to load that about my injury. So I couldn't return to my the Highland Games season. So what happened was, Friday evenings we used to meet. What it was called was a peace bagger. What that meant was everybody gathered together after work on a Friday, often in Pretoria and Crieff, and there was tables and tables covered with pints of lager and stuff like that. But there was a suggestion that what we should do is all come down here. So we arranged it for the week later. It was well organised. There was about 30 of us, possibly even more. But what happened was we all stuck £20 in, which is quite a lot of money in 1984. And we bought this massive, absolutely massive carry-out from the old Victoria Wine in James Square. And there's people walking down the pathway. The one where I'm chatting myself in the middle of the bloody woods. Not unusual. And what happened was we then went to Frank Thompson's. And at Frank Thompson's we purchased a one of those big black bins. You used to buy these rubber type bins before the wheelie bins were introduced to everybody. And so we bought this and carted it down to this spot called New Forest. And we all sat in a big circle and we had paper cups. And the bin was filled with every single piece of alcohol that we'd purchased, from cans of export to lager to, it was Lauenborough lager and Tennant's and cider, and there was gin, vodka, whiskey, brandy, you name it. Everything went into this bloody black bin. It was it was almost filled to the gunwale. What we didn't realise was that the lighter the alcohol content, it rose to the surface, and the stronger the alcohol sank to the bottom. But anyway, everybody was orderly, and we had to step forward at a pointed call to get a cupful of this and then sit down and sip it. And everything was going very well for a good while. And Scotland manager Willie Ormond had sadly passed away, and so somebody suggested we have a minute's silence for the chap. But it didn't go down well with everybody. And so every time we reached about 40 or 50 seconds on the minute's silence, somebody would shout something very rude in a bigoted manner. And then it became unbearable. We couldn't get this minute's silence done, and eventually someone lost the plot and punched somebody. And everybody else started punching the next person next to them. Before we knew it, the whole place in here was all these guys, with 30 or 40 people fighting the fuck out of each other. And there was two brothers, I remember them quite clearly. I know I didn't mention the names, but both of them were inside in the water, in the River Erne, fucking slapping the hell out of each other. And it was absolutely chaotic. It really was. It was a scene from. If it had been filmed, it would have been a box office hit. It would have won the Cannes Film Festival for fucking insanity. But anyway, yes, it was down here, definitely in this area called the New Forest, because we all streamed down and we ended up fighting the sands. Now there's a tail end to this story, which I was talking this morning about Crowler's Cafe. I've not loaded that yet, but it will go on from when I was chatting in my garden. I don't know what I'll call it, bank holiday something, I don't know. But anyway, I mentioned fond memories at Crowler's Cafe at the post office. Now the double-edged sword in this event, and you might think, well, it's a very low vibrational thing to do, but myself and my friend were sitting in the cafe one day, and there was two women and the girl was sitting across, and they were obviously discussing the girl's 18th birthday party. Anyway, one disappeared, the other one went to pay for the coffee, and the other one went down to the toilet, I think. And my friend and I put her name on the list, and believe it or not, we got away with it. He sneaked over, he wrote down both his name and my name on the list. And I think it was the final call on who was going to be invited to this girl's 18th. Anyway, surprise, surprise, we got a ticket. And I always remember it's a blue ticket for the disco at the Star Hotel in her name. I won't, best not give her a name and embarrass her. Embarrass myself when she knows it was me. But anyway, what I did was I went off to the local printing services in Comrie Street at Phillips's, and the Herald was printed. And anyway, I walked in and I said, "Can you give me 100 of these, please?" and so that was no problem, and got my paid for them and stuff like that, and then I wrote all the I wrote everybody I knew, the name on it, and bring a partner, and of course all these 40 fucking lunatics that were down here with this bucket had got the tickets as well. And before we knew it, well, we ended up, I remember going over to end up in the Oak Bank Inn, which is no longer an inn now, but then the police were running about fucking crazy because they were, trying to find out what the hell was going on down this neck of the wood. People were going about with black eyes and bloody noses and stuff like that. And they came into the Oak Bank and had a look around and shouted something, "What are you all up to?" Somebody told them to piss off, and anyway, we all made our way up to the Star Hotel, which then became the Crieff Hotel, obviously. It's now in ruins. And all I can remember, this girl was in tears, and the proprietor that I've talked about before, Alan Henry, got hold of me and said, "Have you got anything to do with this?" I says, "Do with what?" She doesn't know half the people, she knows half the people, but she didn't invite them all. I said, "It's nothing to do with me, Alan." And of course, you couldn't even get onto the dance floor. So many people were all milling about, and as I say already, most of them were all scuffed and torn, t-shirts and all the rest of it, fighting down in this neck of the wood and soaking wet from being in the river. And it was a chaotic night, but very memorable actually. It was a shame for the girl because I think it kind of backfired just slightly. There was too many people at her well-arranged birthday party. It was a bit shit. I feel sorry for her now. I think if I ever met her, I'd own up and just say it was me. I'm sorry about this. Here's £100. Hopefully that, some compensation to all your tears that evening. It was this is the thing, you look back in these matters and you think, was that the right thing to have done? But it was funny at the time, all these people turning up, and they couldn't be turned away because they all had tickets, so they couldn't decipher who was really invited and who wasn't. There must have been about 300 or 400 people in this fucking hall. But let's go around this way, Andy. We'll go down to the sands and show you exactly what I mean. But yes, this is an area called the New Forest. I don't know why it was called the New Forest, but I'm presuming it was from an ancient time when there was old oak woodland here, and then they all got cut down, and then eventually the new trees started to take seed, and somebody rightly called it the New Forest. This is a pathway. This is the sort of, like when you're heading down to the sand, you had to come down here with a bit of commando style. Keep an eye on, see if any people from, I think there'll be enough to say if they came from Socky or Milnab Street, for example. But not so much Milnab Street. I can all right with people from Milnab Street, but Socky. I can remember when I was at school with them, good chaps, good friends, but they were, obviously if they saw you, like, get them now. I can hear the dog barking down at the water, so it's enjoying itself. Switch your camera off just now until we get to the sands, just in case we, well, what day is it? Monday? Monday bank holiday. What time is it, bro? Yes, it's almost 2 o'clock. I don't know if we've any low vibrations on Monday down here, but you never know. Let's have a peek. So there's the river down, and there's the sands down here. And I can hear voices. Could be low vibrational voices. Yep. Yeah, sands. We'll go down here and have a peek. Yeah, so this is where we are at the sands. Obviously it's a public arena, so people here, a couple of people, nothing too great. But this is a wonderful place to be, and many people from Crieff in my generation all learned to swim down here. A lot of them nearly learned to drown as well, but this was the spot. It's quite a dangerous river, the River Arno, I have to tell you. But I have swam down there. There was a time with myself and up and down, and a couple of friends way back in history were down there. I think me and my friend had a few tipples before we entered the water, but we were swimming around, and it was a lovely moment. And there's the dog in the water, the stick. But the river's quite shallow, but it's a dangerous river. It's not so bad at this point, but yeah, down there's some notorious, actually further down, there's notorious whirlpools and stuff. One of my friend's mother back in the 60s nearly drowned by getting caught in one of those nasty whirlpools. But that's the sands, so that's just where we are. Trying not to get these people in picture. But there we go, the sands by the River Arno. So what we'll do, Andy, is we'll retreat, but I've got some hot water with me. I think what we'll do is go and collect some, I think we'll get some birch leaves and have a birch leaf tea. Yes, that's what we'll do. Back up to the New Forest. There's a Lady Mary's Walk along here. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Although I think they made it an awful clinical. I'm sorry to say this, but they made everything rather clinical by cutting down too much of the foliage. It's a typical kind of thing they do. There must be something about, I think it's an English culture, that a path must have this, you know, underfooting on it, and there must be no hanging foliage. If they see this will be cut off as well. This is an elm tree. Hello! Hello there! This is a lovely elm. Beautiful. It's really nice. I must show you me picking the elm florets in July and making a very refreshing cordial from them. Yes, that's a promise, we'll do that in July. Not from these ones, the ones closer to my home address. Perhaps Monee, but I always get them. Monee is a village. You hear me talking about Monee. It is the village of Monee, about a mile from where I stay. Yes. Yes, I think that it's an Anglified situation where they want all pathways to be, you know, have no roots or weeds or anything on them. I don't like it. I like roots in the pathways, and stones and mud. I like overhanging branches, so you have to duck. There's a bit, no, is it a bit? Let's have a look, Andy. Watch a movie film, you might not have any left. I'm more concerned about the battery running out. Yeah, let's grab some birch leaf, Andy. We'll have a birch leaf tea. Actually, what I decided to do is have some hawthorn blossom tea. The birch is plentiful, but the hawthorn blossom's only out for a couple of weeks. There's that plane from yesterday. This is very nice for you. It's very good. Let's secure the flask of boiling water, and let's have a little refreshing sip of the hawthorn blossom. Yes, it's quite delightful actually. It's very nice. She's very pretty, isn't she? She's really pretty. Anyway, thanks for listening to my little story. Bye bye.